So you're thinking about making a move to Costa Rica. You're going to take that leap. And you're wondering what kind of jobs that you might find here to support yourself when you live in this beautiful new country. Well, there may be some laws in Costa Rica that are going to affect you in ways that, if you haven't already done some research on this topic, might surprise you. Costa Rica has some pretty strict laws concerning who can work in this country legally and who cannot. The only people who are allowed to work in Costa Rica are, of course, natives, the people who were born and raised and grew up here, citizens, or permanent residents. Now, there's a difference between temporary residency and permanent residency. And you have to have temporary residency for 3 years before you can apply for permanent residency. So even if you start the process now to become a resident in Costa Rica, you've still got 3 years before you can legally work in this country. Now, there are some exceptions. There are some specialized fields. It's sort of a rule of thumb to think that if there is a job opening, if a Costa Rican can fill it, then there won't be a work visa issued for that job. Now, there are some specialized jobs, and I don't know what all they are, but there are some specialized positions in Costa Rica that you can apply for and get a work visa and work here. I know that people do teach English. There are jobs for English teachers and highly, highly specialized fields, research and engineering and things that there just aren't enough native Costa Ricans to fill those positions. But unless you are one of those people in one of those very pigeonholed jobs, you're not going to come to Costa Rica and get hired to work a job legally. And if you get caught working illegally, you get deported and you may not be able to come back. Do some foreigners squirrel around and do a little work here and there on a cash basis and just not report it and kind of keep it on the down low? Of course, because people gonna people. Is it wise to do that? Is it good to do that? Heck no, because it's not fair to the native Costa Rican workforce. Think about the situation going on in the U.S. right now. I know I refer to the U.S. a lot, but it's because that's where I'm from. I have intimate working knowledge of how things go there, so I can speak with some authority. Right now, there's all this big hullabaloo with immigration, and they're deporting everybody. And why were those people in the U.S. to start with? For the most part, they were there to work. I'm not arguing the case for the U.S. adopting the same policy that Costa Rica has. I don't get political, and I'm not even sure that I feel this way, but just kind of step outside the boundaries of what is right now and just kind of roll with this. If the U.S. had a similar policy as Costa Rica and did not allow people to work unless they were citizens of the United States or permanent residents, that whole immigration problem wouldn't even be happening. Costa Rica protects its jobs for its people. The flip side of that is if the U.S. did not allow green card holders to work and immigrants to work, nobody could fill jobs. Let's face it, the native workforce in the U.S. is it's not what it once was. Let's just say it like that. Now, the options for people moving to Costa Rica who need an income are, of course, being a digital nomad. You can work remotely, you can have an employer in the U.S., or you can be like me, I draw a pension. This is why Costa Rica is such an attractive option for retirees. If you draw a pension, if you draw a monthly check, mine's disability, it's not retirement. If you have a pension income of more than $1,000 a month, then you can qualify for temporary residency and eventually permanent residency here in Costa Rica. And I'm definitely working on that. It's a complicated process. I think sometimes they make it complicated on purpose because it shouldn't be. The requirements are not that strict. It's just the bureaucracy of it. You can also own a business in Costa Rica. You just can't work in it. They want you to hire Costa Ricans and create jobs. And in many cases, that works out quite well. Do foreigners own businesses here and still work in them, again, of course, you just don't want to get caught doing it, and I don't recommend it. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just giving you the reality of it. For example, you can own a restaurant, but you can't wait tables and you can't cook. You can't, do much. You have to hire Costa Rican staff. There's a whole debate raging online on different platforms and in different chat groups about what constitutes work. If you own an Airbnb and you change the sheets after the guests leave, is that going to get you deported? Well, I don't know. What I do know is that if you come to Costa Rica and you're either a perpetual tourist, which means you have to leave every 180 days and reset your tourist visa and then come back, or if you are a temporary resident or have applied for temporary residency, you cannot legally hold a job in Costa Rica. And most likely nobody is going to hire you because everybody knows that. So the big ideas that you have about coming to Costa Rica and tending bar on the beach, I'm not going to say that ain't going to happen because people do it, but just not advisable. Not advisable for so many reasons. Make sure that when you plan your move to Costa Rica, you already have your income lined out. You know that you draw a pension, or you are going to be working remotely, or you have some other source of income that will preclude you having to apply to work here.